So in the end, we had a really good bilateral, although a number of issues came up, which you will all have observed. And we were able to have a robust engagement with Mr. Trump in your presence, and we were able then to have really good in-depth exchanges with Mr. President Trump and his other officials. The discussions revolved, of course, around golf, but they also revolved around issues of trade and investment. And we were able to, in discussing all that, one, to confirm that there will continue to be engagement between South Africa and the United States officials, particularly the trade and industry level. Our objective in coming here was to reset relations between the two countries and to reposition our relations, which had become contaminated by some of the issues that had been raised during the engagement. President Trump's concern is about the safety of people in South Africa, much as he zeroed it down to, say, white farmers. We kept saying there is a security problem, and we're not running away from that. There's criminality, and we even sought to deal with it from its genesis, that in the end, when the economy is not growing, when there's poverty, when there's unemployment, one of the social ills that we get as a derivative is criminality that spreads itself around the country. It's not only on farms or rural areas, it's even in urban areas. The issue of whether what he terms as genocide can be equated to the struggle. And of course it cannot, because there is just no genocide in South Africa. And of course, it is an issue of how one looks at it. We require more investments from the United States, and we require a more positive disposition from the United States. One of the key confidence-building measures or mechanisms is the engagement that is going to continue on investments, on tariffs, and an investment climate creation in South Africa, and our access to the American market. It's important that the United States should continue playing a key role in the G20, more particularly because I want to hand over the presidency of the G20 to President Trump in November. And I said, he needs to be there. I don't want to hand over the presidency of the G20 to an empty chair. I want to hand it over to him sitting in that chair in November. And he is going to give serious consideration to it. In fact, I expect him to be coming to South Africa. And my takeaway from that is that G20 participation by the United States is going to be happening. So we're particularly pleased with that. The issue of AGOA did come up, and it's going to be further discussed, as I said, in the engagements that we're going to have. The Secretary of Commerce and our Minister of Trade and Industry and Competition are going to be able to take those discussions forward, including some of our proposals, which proposals, by the way, do incorporate the issue of AGOA, because we would like to see ourselves continuing in AGOA. We always want the entire continent to prosper, and we always take into account that what we do should also include advancing the interests of our sister countries on the continent. And when we do settle down to talk about, for instance, tariffs, we are part of this Southern African Customs Union. So we will be talking about tariffs in that broader context, which means that we will not be looking at ourselves alone. We'll be looking at the interests of our sister countries. Annika asked whether the ICJ issue came up during the lunch talk. No, it didn't come up. And we got an impression that President Trump's approach to the ICJ is that, let the process unfold, but at the same time to focus on peace building in the Middle East, precisely what we complimented him on. We said, we compliment you for the efforts that you're making to build peace, because we as South Africa also want to be part of that process. The Starlink issue, was it part of our discussions? No. Elon Musk was part of the lunch, and we didn't really, focus on the discussions in relation to Tesla. The only issue he raised is that he'd like his Tesla cars to be in South Africa. He wants to import them, and of course, there are tariffs, and the tariff discussion becomes part of what we are going to discuss between the DTIC as well as the Commerce Department. So all that is going to be part of a big discussion that will take place. The issue of critical minerals is also going to be discussed. We did make it clear to the United States that we have up to 9 critical minerals that they need in this country. And some of them we are now already exporting to them, so they are going to be part of the discussions we want to have. But we want to cooperate with them. But what did arise was also an interesting point, which will be taken forward, of how we mine and process minerals in South Africa, and then they can then take the processing further when they come to the United States.
You are more than welcome to continue the engagement, but thank you so much.